Greetings, good apes. This is Dustin Micheli again, here with Press Monkey Independent Media and your Primate Report. Now, today's a special cast. I get to talk about somebody I really admire and I really like. He's a comedian, he's an activist, he's an online journalist, part of the online press corps that I like to call it. He is also a truth bringer, and his name is Jimmy Dore. Jimmy, he's a major part of my daily life. He's part of the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. He inspired me to kind of come out and start trying to do this stuff myself because he was so good and so insightful, and I just felt like I needed to join that chorus somehow. So I just wanted to let everybody know that he's a major inspiration to me. His show is just brilliant. I highly recommend that you get online and watch the Jimmy Dore Show on YouTube. I watch it every day or listen to it every day on my way to work. I think he's brilliant and funny. He's also part of a show that was very popular, the first season of the very popular Last Comic Standing. Jimmy Dore was eliminated early in the rounds by Dat Fan. He had challenged Dat Fan to a standoff, um, and I thought that that whole episode was actually the whole thing about that was brilliant. Jimmy had Jimmy and Dat had gotten into a spat. Jimmy and Dad got into a spat in the back talking about comedy, and that fan said, "I don't have anything to prove to you, Jimmy." And Jimmy Dore, without missing a step, said, "Well, yes, you do, my friend. This is a competition." That has stuck with me for a very long time, and I thought it was immensely funny. Um, my addition to that is my own joke, which is, they used to say to George of the Jungle, "George, watch out for that tree." Well, they probably should have said to Jimmy Dore, "Jimmy, watch out for that fan." Because that fan ended up winning Last Comic Standing, beating out everyone else, and Jimmy was the first one to be eliminated by him. Um, it was a brilliant move by Jimmy, though I'm glad that he lost. Um, he was punching upward, as he says, and it's a recurring theme of his show is punching upward or speaking truth to power. Punching upwards, being true to form as Jimmy was, picked the biggest guy, or the most talented guy in the room, or at least the one with the most polished act, and that was that fan. He picked the big guy in the room. He punched upward and made that guy prove himself. And Jimmy got eliminated early on. Who knows if Jimmy would have be doing what he's doing today if Jimmy had done better or even won Last Comic Standing. I'm not really sure either way. I'm glad Jimmy Dore lost, though. I feel like that he probably wouldn't be doing what he is today. And what you're doing today, Jimmy, if you're listening, is so monumentally more important. It's so much more poignant, and it's so much more timely than being a mere stand-up comedian. And I'm not saying don't continue to be a stand-up comedian, because you're brilliant as that as well, and I think that you're funny, and you should continue doing that, but your show, your journalism has brought something new and refreshing and needed. And I thank you. I want to send out a big thank you to Jimmy Dore and his show and Ron and Steph. I, I really enjoy the show. In the spirit of punching upward, I also wanted to talk about an article that I had written some time ago, and I would like, and I hope that Jimmy Dore reads it. I sent him a link to it, and I sent him a message to tell him that I would be doing this cast about him and his show, and kind of calling into question a little bit something that he has been pushing on his show, a narrative that he's been pushing on his show on and off again, and that narrative is especially the Draft Bernie movement. Now, I wrote an article about this. You can check out on PressMonkeyMedia.com. It's called Bye Bye Bernie and the People's Revolution Placebo. And the reason why I wrote this article is because I myself was a Bernie Sanders supporter who, I've seen and watched what happened, and after Bernie backed Hillary Clinton and refused to challenge the Democratic Party over the primaries in any way, shape, or form. To me, the writing was on the wall then. The draft Bernie movement, despite the fact that nobody, or Bernie has had no intention, mentioned no intention whatsoever of being game for becoming part of this new party, should be telling for a lot of people. But that aside, don't you people realize that he lacks the credibility anymore to mount a campaign that would be credible, or effective in any way, shape, or form? He has a lot of things to walk back. And I'd hope that anybody who disagrees with me would come and see my web page and see my, thing that I put on Press Monkey Independent Media. You will probably not enjoy it if you're a current Bernie Sanders fan or a fan of the draft Bernie movement. I've been called a lot of names since I wrote this thing. But that's okay. It goes with the territory. Sometimes speaking truth to power, or punching upward, or even sideways, makes enemies. You'll hit a nerve once in a while. So I just wanted to let everybody know that I was a big Bernie Sanders supporter. I love Bernie Sanders. I thought that his movement was really massively important. Jimmy Dore, obviously, he was another person who was a supporter of Bernie Sanders, something him and I had in common. We also had in common that after the primaries that we both backed Jill Stein, which I would ask Jimmy Dore to explain why you're not still out there pushing for Jill Stein instead of continuously pimping this stupid draft Bernie movement that's just really a deflated Bernie or bust, and it doesn't realize it. I'm just asking for a little intellectual honesty and understand that Bernie Sanders is not the person that we thought he was, or at least he for political reasons even, has become the person, or become a person that's not the same person that I was supporting to be president of the United States. And there's a lot of reasons why we can't continue to follow the shepherding that he has done for the Democratic Party. He has no intention of running for president thus far, that he has said, or joining this draft Bernie movement, which wants to start an additional party. Not something that he's ever sounded like too interested in, to tell you the truth. I would wish that people like Jimmy Dore and everybody else would rejoin the Green Party and pushing Jill Stein and John Mubaraka and their agenda, because it's really the most dignified agenda. It's really the least corrupt agenda. And if Bernie Sanders did not go to the mat for us and challenge the Democratic Party for rigging the primaries. After that, he came out and started parroting the Russia narrative, which I know how people like Jimmy Dore and Caitlin Johnson and many of the others feel about that, the Russian narrative of Russia having influence on our elections in any way, shape, or form. We've challenged this off and on. It's driven all of us crazy. And he came out parroting that stuff, saying that our movement basically was illegitimate. He was illegitimate, and that Russia stopped Hillary Clinton from becoming president of the United States. And then he was parroting mainstream media and the Democratic Party's narrative on Syria, seemingly to backtrack his very great record, for the most part, of being non-interventionist and non-invasionary, but I don't know if they got him paid. I don't know if they scared him because they threatened him. I don't know what happened, and I don't think that it matters, because Bernie Sanders is not the person who I thought I was supporting. He did not go to the mat for us when it counted. He did not challenge corruption wherever it was, and especially within the party he was trying to become leader of. That, to me, throws away Bernie Sanders' credibility and credentials Not to say that he can't gain it back. If he comes out and walks all that back and says, well, they made me do it, or anything, not anything, but those things. If he comes out and walks it back and says that he was threatened or coerced and names names and all of those things, then he'll have my support. All of us will stand in front of him and make sure he never takes a bullet. But that's not what he's doing. So until then, Jimmy Dore, I would hope that you would have a little intellectual consistency and regard for your fans, who are obviously very smart too because they're watching your show, and quit pushing this draft Bernie narrative. Quit telling everybody how popular of a politician Bernie Sanders is, because it does not really matter. Yeah, I don't think that it matters how popular it is. Being popular, being the most popular politician in America, does not translate to election wins. It does not translate to legislative wins. It doesn't translate to anything at all if the person that you're talking about, the person in question's credibility, is completely in question because of their lack of consistency and their lack of willingness to challenge the corrupt party that they tried to take over. And that'll end my cast on that. And, much love to you. Our values were purified, people. Purified by the fires that we had to suffer to support Bernie Sanders. So if there's a purity test, it's because of that. If there is such a thing, it's because of the refined values that we had to go through. We had to suffer for our values. And they came out more refined and more pure. So there's your purity test. And the reason why there's a purity test, and the reason why people are afraid of that purity test, is because they're afraid that they will not come out or emerge from it unscathed. Because you don't. Thank you.